Hello, and welcome to the webinar, How Digital Transformation Reshapes Payments for OEMs like General Motors, sponsored by TreviPay and hosted by OEM Off-Highway. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Chris Vavra, and I'm the editor for OEM Off-Highway, and I'm happy to join you as the moderator for this webinar. Now, before we get started, here are a few tips to get the best experience during today's webinar. On your screen, there should be a tool on the left-hand side of your screen for you to enter and submit questions. Please type in your questions throughout the webinar. We've set some time at the end for our expert panelists to get through as many as we can. There also is a box within the platform with some great content on heavy-duty case studies from TreviPay. Please take a minute after the webinar also to complete the survey that can be found on the audience console. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be on demand within 24 hours afterward. You'll be able to find it through the link that was sent to you from registering or on the OEM Off-Highway website. So before we introduce our speakers, let's go over what today's webinar is about. This is about navigating buyer demands and exceptional purchasing experiences. It is stated that organizational-wide digital transformation initiatives are putting pressure on accounts receivable departments and payments practitioners to meet buyer demands that are increasingly demanding for OEMs across the globe. From this webinar, we hope the key takeaways for today will include: you understand the impact of digital transformation for original equipment manufacturers, why the growing demand for payments help decrease costs for OEMs, how B2B OEMs are creating B2C-like buyer purchasing experiences, and you will also gain insights into how OEM programs and rebates can drive customer satisfaction and loyalty. Now let me introduce today's experts. Lisa Coggins is a 25-year veteran of General Motors and currently serves as the National Manager of Fleet, Government, and Indirect Sales. She specializes in modernizing processes to increase efficiency. She's a graduate of Oakland University with an MS from Southern New Hampshire University, and Lisa is responsible for modernizing payments across GM's dealer network. Teresa Kane is a technology executive with more than 15 years experience overseeing global product and user experience teams. Teresa is currently the Director of Product and UX Design at TreviPay, where she has driven product vision, strategy, and user experience for several fintech software as a service platforms across manufacturing, retail, and e-commerce over the past 5 years for TreviPay. Thank you for joining us, Lisa and Teresa. And let you take it away from here.
All right, thank you for having us. So we'll kick off with our first topic, which is highlighted in the title, digital transformation. So digital transformation is ultimately powering critical workflows that we're seeing. And really what that's leading us to happen and see at TreviPay and as well as with GM is having to create streamlined processes to onboard buyers to the network, and ultimately creating B2C-like ordering experiences across multiple channels. So what that looks like for us is this was historically a more manual process that has caught up with other industries like the retail environment. And even prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, e-commerce was on the rise in automotive, and the COVID-19 pandemic really accelerated that. So a lot of the experiences that we're creating really are around automation and AI and creating those experiences that can all be done in digital platforms like portals. So as mentioned, the order to cash process, it's always been complex and manual. So consider a time when everything is manual and you're trying to onboard hundreds of customers or clients on paper. You're trying to approve them for a line of credit, and you're sending and mailing out invoices. That's not a time that really exists anymore. Everything is automatic. So this is anything from approval happening in less than a minute, automated invoices, portals where you could go download your invoices and make payments, and a topic that we'll be talking a lot about today, which is loyalty. So how do you get individuals that are purchasing, beyond net terms and approval, how do you get them to keep coming back and keep purchasing no matter whether they're in store or online? So some of the complexities that we're seeing for original equipment manufacturers in general is, there's a really big change and difference between, what manufacturers have, dealers find themselves having, and fleet customers are experiencing. So lots of labor intense practices for manufacturers. And really, from a manufacturer standpoint and from a servicing standpoint, a lot of these transactions that are happening can be parts. So you think of something as simple as air filters, all the way down to servicing, as well as equipment purchases. So with these types of different services and packages that are offered, dealers are really finding themselves having to manage these transactions as well as payment methods, which can lead to a lot of manual effort, a lot of entering in multiple systems. A lot of the integrations that we have from the dealer standpoint and what we're seeing, there's usually integrations outside of TreviPay, such as FSMs or fleet service management systems, and also DMSs, which are dealer management systems. So there's really a lot to manage for these different dealers across different platforms. And that's kind of where TreviPay comes in and helps programs like GM in terms of trying to create that automation so that fleet customers are really able to manage less at the end of the day and be able to really manage loyalty and getting customers to purchase rather than managing all the back office items.
Thanks. That was a great overview of digital transformation. And, to kind of go a little deeper, how are manufacturers like GM adapting to meet newer buyer demands?
Great question. What we're looking at GM is we're trying to blend what I call old school or some of our better habits, where we work with our customers, our end user customers, to develop that deep relationship so we understand their needs and their preferences, and then build programs in which help out those needs. So it's a blend between old school, which is the relationship management, person to person, and then adding in the technology like AI and platforms in different portals and things like that our customers have asked for, and being able to adapt our current process to meet their future needs. So again, I don't think one aspect versus the other. I think it has to be a blend between the old school relationship management and the new school of the technology, and create a very holistic approach to the needs of our customers going forward.
I think you hit on a really great point there, Lisa, and that, just because we're creating new automation AI doesn't mean we're letting go of, white glove service. I think that historically that really has added to the growth and is something that's important to both GM and TreviPay. And you have those dynamics, and together they're really powerful, right? So you have the relationships that are built through that white glove experience or hands-on, but then you have the extended relationship through AI and automation and portals. So there is something to be said there in terms of really having both together really creates that power system for growth.
Oh, absolutely. And don't forget, the most important thing is the partnership through our vendors like TreviPay. Obviously, this is a very complex type of program. And, we don't have to do it all ourselves. We have partners like you that help us out. And that same relationship goes hand in hand with our partnership as it does with our fleet partners. We need to make sure that together we're coming up with the best programs to satisfy our ultimate customer, which is our fleet accounts.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. All right, so let's talk more about payments for OEM programs. So a lot of manufacturers really offer national account programs, and a lot of times this isn't just to manage back office, but also to help drive revenue. And, in terms of our mission at TreviPay, that's, to help businesses grow. And this is something that's a big part of, why we partner with OEMs, and we partner with excellent partners like GM. So really there is a lot there to onboarding in terms of dealers, in terms of the fleet customer. So this gives you kind of a look at all the integrations there in terms of what's offered for a central billing solution. But ultimately, the biggest value of these payment programs, if you think about it, you just kind of take a layer back. Offering a payment program really allows a robust ability beyond, paying with a credit card. You are building a relationship with those customers, offering trade credit or net terms, and this is going to give them consistent, guaranteed pricing as part of that program. In addition to that, there's usually additional offerings there in terms of discounts and loyalty, which we'll dive a little more into. But at the end of the day, when you have a payment program, it's not just about getting approval and paying and getting invoices. It's about creating a relationship, just like Lisa mentioned, with those customers, with those dealers. And ultimately, that allows to be a long-term relationship. The lifetime value of a customer is what becomes important there. So that doesn't just start or end with the manufacturer or dealer or the end user or the customer. This is something that is valuable throughout and is a program that is managed, not just with tools, but is a white glove service offering that allows you to have everything kind of integrated together across all channels. That brings us to our next discussion topic.
Yeah. So could you explain a little bit more about the GM Fleet Consolidated Billing Program and why was it created? What's the long-term benefit for your customers?
So pretty much what the title of the program is GM Fleet Consolidated Billing. This covers 3 of our major programs. It's for the do-it-yourself customer, the customer that needs some help. Maybe they're returning back to our dealerships to take care of their maintenance needs on their fleet purchasing. Or it could just be somebody that needs to buy inventory to fix it themselves, or a hybrid of everything involved. So we do have 3 specific programs for GM Fleet Consolidated Billing. One is our Mega Fleet program, which is specifically around our retail dealers and our wholesaling dealers, which allows you to buy inventory and bring it back to the dealer for service. We also have a National Fleet Maintenance Program, which are for our large fleet maintenance companies who facilitate the needs for our end user fleet customers. And again, it could be inventory, or it could be, scheduled at work at one of our dealers across the nation. And then finally, we have a National Fleet Parts Program, which is just inventory needs, but strictly out of our independent aftermarket, which is our direct accounts or our AC Delco direct account customers. And pretty much why it was created is, as we were going through with our fleet customers and doing empathy interviews, there was a reoccurring theme about, ease of transaction. Before, it was okay just to give the credit card to the driver and then the driver pay for the maintenance, but that had a lot to do in the back end that made it very cumbersome and not very user friendly. So we heard our customers, ask, and then we came up with consolidated billing. And realizing that it's a very complex program, we decided to partner with TreviPay in order to handle that part of the business for us. And it gives us a bit of autonomy because, we can walk through, vet all the customers, and then just realize that their billing is going to be handled through the partnership. And that's one less thing that we have to be concerned with, because TreviPay takes great care of them, and then we can work on the relationship type of behaviors and what else could we possibly do to accelerate their needs and also to grow the business, so it's a win for everybody involved. So yeah, pretty much GM Consolidated Billing is just what it is. It is one consolidated bill that the customer gets at the end of the month, and then they can match up invoices to payments, and it's very streamlined, and it moves us forward when it comes to technology. And there's more to come, because as we know, technology is never ending. So as we get more and more in depth with AI and things like that, we're going to have to keep our programs adaptable, which is something that we didn't do as well as we should have in the past. But this is a new era. I think they said between the technology of what we've done is comparable to horse and buggy going to a Ferrari or a Corvette. I guess I should use Corvette. But the amount of technology that has changed in the past 25 years isn't even going to be close to the amount of technology that is going to change in the next 5. So in order for us to stay on top of our customers' needs and and concerns, we're going to have to make sure that our programs are accessible and adaptable with ease to use as the standard platform.
And as part of that, in terms of the GM Fleet Consolidated Billing Program, I'm fortunate to support the product team that partners with GM on that program. And, part of that is, really being able to understand what the customers, what the dealers, what the fleets are wanting, in addition to what GM is wanting. So we do a lot of on-sites and discovery, and user experience is really a big part of understanding how do we continue to enhance this program. Like Lisa said, it's going to be continuing to morph over time, and it's something, especially with the impact of AI and automation, we're going to continue to morph in terms of what users are wanting, which actually leads me to our next topic pretty easily, giving OEM buyers what they want. So as part of that, as part of the research that we've really done on the TreviPay side in partnership with GM, OEM buyers want to pay with trade credit. At the end of the day, this really allows for, which trade credit's also called net terms or invoice terms, if you're not familiar with that term. But ultimately, in the B2B side, this isn't B2C, this is B2B, and this is a leading B2B payment method. And really, it allows, again, not just the traceability of payments, but really building over time that relationship, the lifetime value of the customer. So from the research that we've done, 85% in that B2B space are wanting to pay with trade credit, which we just talked about, was also called net terms or invoice terms. 61% say trade credit is their leading way to pay. 59% prefer trade credit for large purchases, and 45% would buy more if offered trade credit. So think about that. When we think about loyalty and building up a customer that's going to continue to come back and have repeat purchases, 45% would buy more if offered trade credit. So from a B2B standpoint, that's a pretty large percentage that are saying, I would actually buy more from you if I were offered this trade credit versus having to pay for something on my own terms. So this is really a big open the door opportunity in terms of our relationship, not just with automotive and with GM, but something that we really focus on as an organization. So another thing we're seeing is that OEM buyers are wanting invoicing and payments. And so in general, you think of the different limits that could happen on in paying with net terms, how much you're spending on an annual basis, such as, are you spending less than $10,000? Are you spending more than $10,000? And B2B, the transaction volume is going to be significantly higher. So in general, when you're spending less than $10,000 a year, they might be using a credit card. Whereas if you're spending more than $10,000 a year, that's where net terms and trade credit really become more beneficial in building that partnership and relationship. In addition to that, you're really getting guaranteed pricing usually when you enter these programs. So that means that you're getting a discount as part of, for instance, the GM Consolidated Billing Program. Whereas if you weren't purchasing in that program, you might not be getting a discount on GM parts. So that's really a huge advantage for those that participate in that program, for instance. And then also, just the ability to have the way the invoices are handled, just like you would get from a B2C. So you'll see a thematic theme here we'll continue to talk about, in that in B2B, we're seeing a lot of customers and fleets and dealers really saying we want the same experiences that we're getting as a customer on the B2C side. So that's something, if you have a credit card today, you're able to download an invoice online. Well, we offer that exact same thing just like you would get for net terms. So we have continued to enhance the B2B experience by adding these B2C-like experiences for users as well. So last but not least on this topic, OEM buyers are wanting straight through processing. And this is really integrations. So integrated buyers are increasing their spend between 30 to 75% in the following year. So this is extremely important because 80% of buyers, from our research, are saying it's very or extremely important that merchants conveniently integrate with their ERP platforms. So this is something that we also focus on as well in terms of partnerships and integrations. This also allows for e-invoicing, which is also what we call straight through processing. So that means no rekeying, no touch, and it's also more secure as well. We also have done a significant investment in robotics process automation, or RPA, which can be used to deliver invoices as well to portals.
Great. And kind of bringing it back a little bit towards the digital transformation topic, how are digital transformation initiatives putting pressure on accounts receivable departments at OEMs? Like what challenges are they facing?
I think one of the initial challenges we're facing is we've had programs that have been in place that have been doing, a decent job. But then when you look at the overall opportunity, you start asking, what if we did this? What would that bring us? And I think that's, again, where the technology aspect comes into it. And what we're having, or where the pressure we're feeling is, how do we get there fast enough, but still vet the whole program so it's not cumbersome at the end? So yes, we want to go fast, but we want to make sure that we're capturing the right technology for the purposes of our customers. Another opportunity we have when it comes to the initiatives out there is everybody wants to be special. Everybody wants a program just for themselves. How can you develop a platform or a program that encompasses everybody's needs? And that's very difficult. So I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a very solid foundation to cover the base of everybody's needs, and then allow for it to be adaptable for that personal touch or the white glove presentation that we were talking about earlier. So I think one of it is, keeping up with the demands of our customers and doing it in a timely basis to where we just don't put something in there because it's the latest technology out there. We actually sit down and take a moment to think, is this what really will put us forward in the next 3, 5, 10 years? So again, strong foundation, and then make it adaptable as possible.
Yeah, I really like that you touched on personalization. So, and that's something that, again, kind of like ringing in UX and user experience in general. That's something in terms of creating digital transformation, when you're moving from, an on-store to an online experience, making sure that you're creating that same experience no matter where the customer is purchasing. So in terms of personalization and white glove, making sure that you're offering a similar experience no matter kind of where they go in terms of how they're purchasing. And also kind of leads us again to our next topic, which is the buyer journey, in terms of, how do you create that same journey or experience across, those different channels. So what we're seeing, fleets and dealers are really wanting a holistic buying experience. So these are kind of, 8 different steps as part of that. So consolidated billing and payments, dealer reimbursement, purchasing controls, price management. So it's not just a one stop, it's all the way through, right? So all the way at the end of the day, also offering reporting at the end of the day. And then more kind of on the buyer journey, it kind of goes to the buyer onboarding as well. So this side would really be the underwriting side of things. So getting approval for a line of credit, just like you would a credit card. So you'd have this buyer onboarding journey where you would want instant approval and the ability to get the card, whether physical or virtual, in the hands for them to purchase as quickly as possible, with the goal at hand really being repeatable purchases. So the intent around the program is really to encourage and retain and increase the purchases that are being done versus someone that's not part of the program and is just going to, come in every now and then with no incentive to do so. So some of the trends that we're seeing in B2B purchasing, which make it more complex and more costly, which is where partnerships kind of come into play, is, portals. So we are seeing, again, the demand for those same experiences I've been talking about for the B2C like experiences and B2B. So this requires portals, specialized pricing. So we're seeing a demand for those that are in these programs to make sure they have specialized contract pricing. Addition of e-commerce. E-commerce is been something that you would think would be out the gate, but as Lisa mentioned earlier, the white glove experience is something, especially in the automotive and OEM space and manufacturing space, that is really strong. That relationship that is built through the white glove experience has to be built on and maintained really to move in the e-commerce space from what we're seeing. And then ultimately the demand for rebates. So this would be the ability to have a loyalty program, have a discount, and or have a rebate that really is incentivizing those that are part of the program to come back and create these repeat purchases over time.
It's good that you mentioned e-commerce. Another critical aspect of digital transformation is automation. The two run kind of hand in hand. And so how is the buyer journey impacted by both e-commerce and automation? How do they intertwine, and what role do they play?
I think when it comes to e-commerce, we're still at the, you would think with the pandemic and everything else that we've actually addressed this. This is still quite new for us. I mean, we've had it in our portfolio for a long time, but again, I don't think we understood the impact or the opportunity that was out there. The pandemic kind of forced that, and along with more e-commerce that is coming our way, the need for automation. We're trying to take the technology of e-commerce and fit it into how we used to do things. And yes, there are some merits to that, again, with white glove and making sure that we have that strong relationship with our customer. But also we need to address their needs for automation to make it easier to do business, whether that's streamlining our programs and making it very consistent from coast to coast. So there is one consistent price across the board, making sure that entering of claims or processing of invoices is also something. The less that they have to touch it, meaning our customers have to touch it, the better the ease of transaction is. And that's something that is very important to our customers, because everybody is charged with doing a lot more these days with less. So if we can automate any of the process along the way, that we have seen is a major customer satisfaction for our clients. So I would think that, yes, e-commerce has been around, but to say that we've been on the forefront of that, no, we've been waiting more in the wait and see. And I think now with the automation process, it's going to pull that even higher on our priority list going forward, because we want to make sure that we can touch base with all of our customers, regardless if it's in person or a virtual experience. They still demand that the experience is seamless and easy to transact with. It's all of the basics that we need to be working on, and automation is just one of those ways that we're going to get there faster.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think of AI and automation, and they think it's going to have a negative impact. That means that it'll move roles or eliminate roles. And the reality is, when we talk about white glove, creating that automation AI actually creates more opportunity for the white glove experience and the growth. So now the team is focusing on the customers, focusing on re-engaging them, repeat purchases, instead of worrying about sending customers invoices and rekeying things in. So that's really the experience. It's not a shift in how many people, it's a shift in what whoever is working, what they're working on and how much time they're focusing on it. So that's something that we see a continued enhancement with automation that really will free up time to look at the different the different experiences that could be had, with those customers. For instance, we talked about GM parts earlier. Having loyalty programs. I know we'll talk about loyalty programs here a bit later, but getting customers to have a reason to come back and buy GM parts, that's not something that happens without encouraging a customer or a fleet to come back to the dealer and have that experience. So when you free up time for more experiences like that, that's where program growth really accelerates. And that's really the intent of the partnership, is to free up more time, so that our clients like GM are able to focus on those things instead of worrying about rekeying. So
absolutely, increasing the bandwidth of your current personnel and then allowing them growth opportunities to maybe go after a project that maybe you didn't have the personnel for. But with automation, now we've increased the bandwidth of that person, and we can allow them to focus in on those aspects that maybe we didn't have time for before. So yeah, it's very exciting time to be part of the movement, if you will.
Yep, for sure. So I think in addition to that, one of the things that we really focus on is creating exceptional buying experiences. So what does that mean? So you've talked about this theme throughout, B2B buyers are wanting the same experience as B2C. So when we talk about freeing up that time to focus on other things, this is one example. So this is an example of a portal where, it allows for some really key functionality points here. So you could easily view, download, email, export invoices all the way down at the SKU level, paying invoices. Again, these are things that you would expect in B2C that for B2B, we've had these for a while, but we continue to make enhancements on what users are wanting when they go to these portals. Even something as simple as a dispute. Maybe there's a dispute or a change in price. Maybe they were supposed to have a rebate added, it didn't get added in there. This is also a place for temporary or permanent credit line increase requests as well. So there's a lot that really can go on here. You also have to think on the B2B side, there's going to be hierarchy management. So that's a big separation from B2C where you are managing yourself, you're managing your family. On the B2B side, there's usually a hierarchy. So there is management at multiple levels, and that's where it becomes more complex. And that really requires the need for these experiences that allow you the simplicity of managing and seeing how much is being spent, how much is being approved, and where they're kind of spending the money across the board. Another thing is real-time digital onboarding. So we offer real-time approval with our online applications. So this is something that, is huge and is something that is expected as well, just like you would get in B2C. You want instant approval. Buyers are expecting onboarding in minutes, not days. And so they are willing to say, I'm not going to go with you if that's not done as quickly as possible. So this is another focus as well that we focus on.
Yeah, we're definitely in a go, go, go kind of environment. But at the same time, how are OEMs creating exceptional purchasing experiences to keep buyers interested?
I think for us, for General Motors anyhow, when it comes to fleet, creating that exceptional purchasing experience, I think, again, it comes down to understanding our customers' expectations. And we do that by, before we even send anybody to TreviPay, we want to understand what their expectations are so there are no concerns when we move forward. And I know at the time everybody's excited, let's get this going, but we take a pause, we find out what all the needs are, and make sure that we can provide that exceptional purchasing experience. So we use IRIS, for instance. It's just an acronym we come up with. So we gauge their interest. That's the I. The R is, we build that relationship so we can start to understand their needs, and then maybe we can start anticipating being a little more proactive than reactive to those needs going forward. We also want to make sure that we have the right inventory for those needs. I know this is more about payment options and stuff like that, but if we have nothing to sell them, that's going to kind of hinder the process too. And then S is for making sure that we are providing the right service. So again, kind of mixing that old with the new, but we want to make sure that we're trying to get everything ahead of the initial process. So many issues that are going to happen, and that's why it's great when we partner with TreviPay, because I do the vetting and then I turn the process over to them. Meanwhile, we're always in the loop. I'm always on the calls with them and stuff like that. But they're really taking over that type of the relationship when it comes to the B2B type of business. They walk them through the credit process, and then if there's any additional information that is needed, they take the time to understand the expectation of the customer right along with us. So it's almost like they're getting a 2-for-1 when they come on board with our programs, because we have the great partnership with TreviPay. So I think it's just that proper balance of making sure that we understand their needs, their interests, and then we can provide the right type of service before we even get them started with the TreviPay process. So I think that's where we're at with that.
And from the TreviPay side, being a leader in product UX and design, it's all about research for us. So making sure that we're not just creating experiences because we think that's what they're wanting. We get out there. We actually perform over 100 research projects per year across the board. And this involves a lot of interviewing, understanding, going on site, and really seeing those like day in the life of experiences that are happening, with the fleets and the dealers and so forth with those purchases. So that's something that is a huge focus for us and allows us to kind of enhance those experiences really at a custom level for each of our different programs, because the experience is not going to be the same across one automotive or OEM versus a retail side of things. So that's something that we differentiate there.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are right on board with that. The amount of empathy interviews you've done with our dealers, with our direct accounts, you're trying to make sure that you're providing, same as I would, the same type of exceptional experience that I'm looking for from our end use customers. You're also doing for General Motors on top of it. So like I said, it's a great opportunity that we get to push forward together.
Yep, love that. And, that leads us into loyalty right there. So, B2B buyer loyalty, which is something super exciting because you guys offer a few loyalty programs, so we can talk about those. But ultimately, there's really 7 top drivers of B2B loyalty here. So an established seller, so you have to have a good reputation, consistent purchasing experience, ease of onboarding, delivery options, automated onboarding, the integration of ERP platforms, and the business relationship. And this is that white glove experience over time. But ultimately, what we're seeing is buyers want more than just like a payment method or payments. They're wanting this established relationship. They want a reason to kind of come back and continue making purchases. And in terms of experiential loyalty, when it comes to offering, this seamless offerings, by reducing the friction for enterprise buyers, merchants are able to grow what we call experiential loyalty. So this really allows every organization to have their own unique structure and have this intentional payment method that lowers the friction and allows customers, again, to focus on purchasing instead of worrying about how they're going to pay, how they're going to be invoiced. So this removing of friction is something that we really focus on in terms of loyalty for our clients. So the end goal is something we touched on a little bit earlier. Programs that offer loyalty, whether that's in the form of custom contract pricing, loyalty rewards or programs, rebates or discounts. Either way, this established relationship of being part of a program increases the lifetime value of a customer. So that's really the focus. In B2B, the lifetime value of a customer is critical, and it tends to be 10x that of a B2C. So if you consider, doing your daily, if you're a daily coffee drinker, maybe you get coffee out of the house once a week. From the B2B side of things, that would mean you're getting coffee every day versus once a week for the most part. So when you create that relationship and you create that lifetime value in B2B, you are creating lifelong growth for your program and for your company. So that's something where, in terms of partnership with GM, while we focus on the other things, we like to offer them up to be focusing on the growth. So this also optimizes cash flow and expense. And I know, Lisa, I'd love for you to talk a bit about loyalty, which I think is going to lead into our next question of how OEMs are building loyalty with customers for repeat purchases.
Loyalty is part of the game. Everybody has some type of loyalty purchase, whether you're, at the grocery store for loyalty or you're working with OEM for parts. It's just part of our society. And so we need to address all of those. Anything from incentive based on year-over-year growth, or whether it's consistent parts pricing across the country. There's discounts that are added, and off the bottom line, I should say, if you utilize our programs. And then we have it's a repeatable process, like you guys were saying. It's great if you build it, they should come. But if they don't understand or if it doesn't meet their needs, then it's a great program, but it doesn't fit their needs, so they're probably not going to utilize it. So I want to focus on, yes, we build loyalty programs already established. We already have those in there, but we need to make sure that we're constantly asking for feedback. Is this still what you guys are asking for, or is there something we could be doing better? Because as technology shifts, as our society norms shift, we want to make sure that we're at the forefront of taking care of our customers. No longer are we going to be building programs and build them and forget them. If that's the type of mentality we're going to have, we're never going to win at the end. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our customers' needs, and again, be a little more proactive than reactive, and be totally transparent with where we're going. And make sure that we don't forget our customers along the way. As we keep increasing our style and our program offerings, we need to make sure that we always put the customer at the center of everything we do, because without our customers, we don't have business. So it's great that we feel great about our programs, but our customers feeling the same. And it's taking that deep dive and, stepping back and realizing that maybe we need to adapt our programs to fit a new need that we never thought of. So if you take the time to listen to your customers, you should be able to create a program that will surround your customer with everything they need, and then the loyalty will follow on its own.
Yeah, no, I think that's really great. And, I love what you said there. And I think, from the loyalty standpoint, the goal of loyalty is repeat purchasing, right? And so,
yes.
But really it goes beyond that, right? You're really creating a perception about your brand. We utilize Net Promoter surveys, NPS, and a number of other surveys that allow us to get feedback on the GM Consolidated Billing Program, all of our programs. And the reason why customers, keep coming back is because of the experience they're getting. And that in itself, beyond having a high NPS score, having the ability to create that experience for customers goes beyond offering a discount. They're not going to come back if they're not getting that experience, or they feel like they can keep coming back. And so that's something, I just wanted to give praise to the GM team. That's not something we create at TreviPay. You guys are creating that experience and kind of growing that on your own. I think that says a lot about the team that we get to work with at GM. So.
Yeah, but don't sell yourself short, because like I said, we have strategy meetings together, and just some of the what ifs that you've posed to me, that also helps, because that's a different perspective that I didn't have before. So I think it's the loyalty between our partnership that gives us that opportunity to make our programs as adaptable and preferred by our customers. So I appreciate all you guys help us with.
Well, we look forward to an exciting 2025. Lots of fun growth to come. So, yep. All right. Well, we have some time for questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Teresa, Lisa. A lot of great information, some really good anecdotes. So appreciate you giving us the rundown on this topic. So at this time, we'll begin the Q&A session. Attendees, if you haven't submitted your question yet, take a second to shoot those over to us using the Q&A box. Let's put those questions in front of our speakers and get some answers. We've got about 15 minutes, so plenty of time yet. And we'll lead off with this one. How have market conditions accelerated the need to upgrade payments technology?
Okay, the market conditions, people are doing more with less. They don't want the that's clean, streamlined, and easy to transact with. So I think, a part of the market conditions is people are expecting more, especially after the pandemic. We kind of like launched it, fast forwarded it, if you will. And now some of us are trying to catch up with the needs of our customers. So I think, just the timeline on it, it's something that obviously we're addressing now, but, nobody saw that coming. So I think there are some people that were left a little short. So I think that's a huge opportunity is, to take a deep dive, at least for our programs, take a deep dive and ask ourselves those critical questions. Is there something that we could be doing better based on our customers' feedback? So again, I think it's going to be a blend of old school, which is the relationship management, and the new school of the technology coming together, with the biggest opportunity is how fast can we go to market with it?
Yeah, and I think, just to add to that, I think it's not only, how the market conditions have accelerated, but what's coming next, right? So there's a huge generational shift happening right now, with baby boomers retiring. You have millennials and Gen Z taking over those roles. So we're actually already seeing shift in requests for how they would go about using a portal or using a product. And so I think there's more changes happening between that generational shift, but also the impact of AI as well. So I think it's a let's keep up, type of mindset, because the market's going to continue to change. And that's where our partnership, kind of works together well, and making sure that we're staying ahead of that change, not behind it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you hit a spot on the head. The AI and just the generational, I didn't even think of that until you said it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is true, because, as different experience come to light, especially in meetings and stuff like that, of how you're going to go to strategy, you have to take into account the generations too. It can't be all heavy AI, because that'll leave out some of our other customers. So yeah, how do you do that properly with balancing, to make sure you don't leave anybody behind? So yeah, definitely, it's going to be an exciting next few years for sure.
Yep.
All right. Next question asks, what are the biggest challenges OEMs face when it comes to payments?
I think for us right now, because as we're getting all these leads in and we want to do what's right for our customer, is to make sure we understand the demands of their business. And that's asking probing questions ahead of time, like not just give them a credit line and hope it fits. Let's do, our due diligence, research, and make sure that we give them a substantial credit line, not only to cover their current needs, but also to make sure that there's opportunity for growth going forward without it, being too cumbersome. A lot of it has to be with, making it an ease of transaction. That's when the portals come in, because we don't always have time to meet face to face, but if there's a place they could go get the information all in one spot, that's huge for companies. They love to go and, monitor their own things when they have to report to their executives and things like that. So we need to make it ease of transaction with convenience, and make sure that we're answering all their questions up front when we're building things like that. Does this really solve for anything? Or are we just doing it because, it's the latest thing going on? So I think we have to monitor that very, very specifically when it comes to our clients, because everybody wants something a little bit different. But again, having a strong foundation to go forward, and then, bringing everything else in.
Yeah. And I think, I look at it at a different angle too. Just like holistically, I see fraud, being something of, a future challenges for payments. And part of that's just part of digital transformation. So what that means, if you think of, what we've talked about here, of going in person to apply for a line of credit versus doing it online. So look at what's happening with AI right now. You could have AI applying for credit over and over using different accounts. There is so much technology out there, and you're having to vet through all of that, which is what we do at TreviPay. We have a really fantastic fraud and risk team that does all this automatically, but ultimately it's becoming smarter. And I don't just mean AI, but fraudsters out there. So that's something that automotive hasn't historically had to deal with as much as retail, because they haven't really been digital and live on e-commerce as long. But it's something to be on the lookout for, and making sure how they've escaped it is this continued white glove experience in addition to just digital, online applications. But that's something definitely to be aware of, and something that we kind of keep tabs on as well from the TreviPay side.
Yeah, and that's huge. So when we're going to adapt our programs and stuff like that, that's why it's critical we reach out to you, find out what other industries are facing, and should we start creating protocol to address that if it was to happen to us. I mean, like, we didn't think we'd ever be held for ransom, and that happened when it came to one of the DMS systems recently. So there's always those opportunities out there, and just because it's not affecting us now, it doesn't mean we shouldn't be thinking about it for the future. Again, type of being proactive versus reactive.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not even just about the security of your system, but who you're partnering with, which, you know, everyone has multiple partners, right? I mean, that's how really the integrations kind of work, we know, with partnerships. So that's something, that's a really great point as well. So
You'd alluded to this a couple of times, but how are buyer and invoicing requirements creating challenges for your customers and for you?
Again, from GM's perspective, I think it is just the sheer the way we have to address it. You know, people want us to move very fast. Unfortunately, we're a big organization. You know, to get us to shift is a little different. Everybody's got different perspectives and stuff like that. But when it comes to the buyer demands, you know, I'm in a very unique position because I get to streamline our processes. So I get to address these firsthand and kind of be the hero of it, if you will. A customer comes to us, they have certain needs. And if we're not doing it, then we vet, you know, should we be doing it? Is it just this customer, or should we, you know, take this feedback and address it with other customers? So I think when it comes to the steps we're going to have to do is, again, that strong foundation that covers the basic needs for everybody, but make our programs somewhat adaptable, because realizing that all fleets are not the same, our customers have different needs, and how can we address all of those needs without reducing the foundation that we want to create. And again, our foundation is rooted in the customers at the center of everything we do. So we want to make sure that we're taking the time to get to know our customers, allowing the technology to come in, partnering with the right people that will get us that ultimate win or removal of that obstacle, so we can grow the business at a rapid pace. This is not something that one company can take on all by themselves. You need industry leaders to help you out with that. You know, set aside the ego and make sure that you are taking it on and you got the right people in the right spot to create the best program for the customers. And then the demands, you know, will always be there, but you can follow up with, you know, actions, not just theory. You know, this is what we're doing to improve the program based on your feedback. And I think when we start doing that, it's not just, this is a GM program, take it or leave it. It is, this is a program we designed for our customers, so we can grow and have that longevity with them, the loyalty, not just for parts needs, but also their service needs, and ultimately sell them a new vehicle. I mean, what I do in the parts department truly affects the next purchasing decision when they go to refresh their fleet. So this isn't just a parts program. It's not just a be all end all. It is actually an integral part in General Motors in our future of how we're going to do business with our customers in person and in virtual arena also.
Yeah, I love that. You know, and I just have one phrase for, you know, for us, like, and what we're seeing the impact be, e-invoicing. So the expectation around like automation and e-invoicing, that's really the requirements that are creating challenges as we're trying to get to 100% e-invoicing. And there are still some programs that require, you know, not manual invoices and, you know, people downloading them on their own and different requirements depending on the industry. But ultimately, that's the future, right, is having 100% automation of invoicing, which allows for quicker payment and quicker cash, you know, at the end of the day. So that's really our focus from the TreviPay side.
Yeah, I think if we take out some of those complexities, Teresa, that's where we actually get to see the growth, because we have provided additional bandwidth, maybe go out and sell additional parts or sell more vehicles or whatever it is. But right now, they're tied up with the manual process. So the more that we can turn it automative, the better it is going to be for everybody, because that allows their bandwidth to increase and then they can be utilized in a different scenario.
Right.
So yeah, again, we were the best kept secret, so we're not anymore. And I look forward for a great 2025 and beyond. So thank you for your help.
Yeah. Love it.
All right. So I have time for one more question. What are the most important steps manufacturers can take to meet buyer demands when it comes to purchasing?
Again, I'm going to refer back to, the iris analogy. Understand their interests. Why are they coming to you? Is there a specific need that they're trying to handle? Then go to the relationship. Start that relationship, because it's been proven that people like to do business with people they like. So, build that relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. I go back to it time and time again. It all begins with a relationship. And then I make sure that we can address their inventory needs. Is it, whether it's parts, service, or vehicle needs, can we address what they're expecting from us? And then the last one is S, which is the service part of it. Make sure that we're taking care of our customers, because that's why we're in business. If it wasn't for the customer and their needs to purchase parts, service, or vehicles, then without them we have nothing. So being able to make it adaptable and address their needs, I think, is how we're going to win.
Yeah, I couldn't have answered it better myself. I mean, I was thinking, listen to your customers. At the forefront, it's not just a one-time thing, right? It's ongoing. Constantly listen to your customers, constantly get that feedback, and make sure you're incorporating it not only into the experiences, but into the services and products that are being offered as well. And that's really the golden rule, right? Treat everyone as you'd like to be treated, and they'll keep coming back for continued purchases.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. That does it for the questions today, which will be bringing our webinar to a close. So I'd like to thank again our presenters, Teresa Kane and Lisa Coggins, for their insights and expertise here today. Appreciate you two taking the time to talk about this topic.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure.
Okay. Attendees, you'll be receiving an email from us soon with access to today's playback and presentation. But also feel free to visit OEMoffhighway.com to check out more information on this topic, as well as browse other topics in our bank of educational webinars. Thanks again to our speakers and our sponsor, TreviPay, and thank you all for taking the time to join us. Have a great day.